I am.
Okay. You ready up here? David did his cookies, so we're ready.
I put in a request for a drawer. just
Oh,
so
good, thank you. So we don't have to look at David's cookies. Okay, so.
that- We'll get a little basket to put in there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, just some kind of little shield you can tuck things behind it. All right, we will resume this meeting at 10:55 a.m. and we will continue through our agenda. We are moving now on to agenda item number 11. Discussion and consideration of amendment number 1 to contract services for number 6298 with Claire Company for third-party services to support the Department of Community Development Building Division. We have Sarah Absher, the Director, Department of Community Development, with us this morning. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you. Yes, so briefly, this is an existing contract. It's a continuation of that contract for third-party services to support building division operations. As you are aware, we are actually, with the ability to hire in-house staff, reducing the number of, or the volume of services we need from our third-party partners. Claire Company has been an excellent partner in providing services for Tillamook County in our building division, and this is just a annual update request. So it's before you for a request for signature.
Wonderful, thank you. Comments or questions, Commissioners?
Our company has been a savior for us in the past, and we continue to utilize their services. And I think it's an important part of making sure that we get things done in Tillamook County.
Perfect, thank you. I agree. I appreciate all the work that's been done in the last year to hire and to train and to make sure that our staff are able to do as much as possible locally, but recognizing as well that if our building industry is going to continue to move forward at the rate of business, we sometimes have to get some outside help. And this is one of those spaces where we get some outside help to keep things rolling, and if that's what we have to do, it's what we have to do. So I appreciate the backup that they provide.
Okay. Madam Chair, ready for a motion?
Yes.
Madam Chair, in consideration of amendment number 1 to contract for services number 6298 with Claire Company for third-party services to support the Department of Community Development Building Division, I would move approval.
I second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on to
Thanks,
item
Sarah.
number 12. Discussion and consideration of an order in the matter of the appointment of a member to the Tillamook County Housing Commission. And we have Thomas Fiorelli, our Housing Coordinator, Department of Community Development. Good morning, TJ.
Good morning, County
Morning.
Commissioners, thank you. So we're here to present to you a request to appoint a new member to the Tillamook County Housing Commission. This is the position for South County. This was open for a good period of time, approximately about 3 weeks, and then reopened for another 2 weeks following that. This is around the time of the holidays. We were very fortunate to get one application for this position. As county commissioners are well aware, this is a difficult position to staff simply because of geographic location. And the challenge is that it requires somebody that's going to commit 4 years of time to at least come to some in-person meetings centrally in Tillamook at the Port of Tillamook Bay. In front of you is an application from Dave Bennett. We have had an interview with Dave, and Dave has continuously expressed his interest to remain as an applicant on the Housing Commission following my phone call with him last week. So we're putting this in front of you today for final approval to seat Dave as our new South County member.
Thank you, TJ. Appreciate that, and I will just speak to the Housing Commission. I mean, as all of our commissions require an amazing amount of work from our volunteers, and the Housing Commission really seeks to have this broad representation from all areas of the county, from different industries, and so getting the right folks at the table is super important for the work we're doing, and I'm excited to have Dave come forward. He has a great background. I believe there's some commercial development and pieces in his background that will really just provide some of that developer and finance knowledge to all of us at the table from industry, which is super important, because what we're really doing in the Housing Commission and a lot of our activities is working to create a developer-friendly environment to put tools into place that developers will use to build that much needed workforce housing. So having someone who has a bit of a background will be really helpful.
I'm grateful to Dave Dennis for being willing to be appointed to the commission, and I'm also grateful to Gail Ozell, who vacated the position that Dave is taking. Gail is a devoted community service partner, and not only in the Housing Commission, but in the Planning Commission, and she's fabulous, and I'm grateful for her service.
And I would concur with both of you. Gail Uzell has been a great volunteer, so many things. Dave Bennett is going to do a great job in her stead. This is an area, again, that Tillamook County cannot survive without its volunteers. This is important work, especially these two, the Planning Commission and the Housing Commission. The Housing Commission is currently doing just tremendous work. Really, again, being a leader in Oregon for housing issues, especially for rural counties. We're doing great. So David, thank you so much for being there. TJ, thanks for what you do, but I'm in full support of this.
Wonderful, thank you. I think we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, in the matter of the appointment of a member to the Tillamook County Housing Commission, order number 23-007, I would move approval.
I second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All of those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 13, which is discussion and consideration of a multifamily rental housing grant agreement number 2023-MHF-1 with Robert and Peggy Schuman for the Schuman Wheeler project. We have TJ with us again. Good morning, TJ, once again.
Good morning again, County Commissioners. I'm very excited to present to you this morning a finalized grant agreement that has been approved following conversations with the grant applicant, following approval as to form by County Council, and then bringing this before you today with the addendums attached, which include the grant agreement itself, the award terms and conditions in Exhibit A, Exhibit B containing the award history and progress reporting requirements, Exhibit C including the recipient's application and criteria scoring, both from the Finance Committee and from the Housing Commission, as well as the recipient's pro forma summary in Exhibit D, and finally an annual progress report form in Exhibit E. This will be required to be submitted by each applicant that receives one of these multifamily rental housing fund grants on an annual basis. The grant is for $54,256. That's based on the percentage of the request that was allocated based on the criteria and the qualitative presentation that the applicant provided to the Housing Commission. This grant must be, the project must be completed by June 30th. The applicant has said that they believe they'll be able to hit that deadline well before that time. In fact, they're very close to certificate of completion now. The default and remedies, it's important to note in this agreement that there are no CCRs. We do not have deed restrictions attached to this. There are clawback mechanisms. So if the owner of any one of these grants chooses to sell the property to increase rents, they are not encumbered from doing so legally. They may do so. However, this grant agreement sketches out exactly what that return of those funds would look like, and that is within the addendum we spoke about a few minutes ago, which talks about compliance and penalties. The applicant has agreed to those conditions and expressed that they do intend to maintain these rents at the rents that are affordable in the grant agreement for a 10-year period of time. With that, are there any questions?
Commissioners, questions for TJ?
I don't have questions. I'm totally supportive of the project. I'm familiar with the project. It's a small apartment complex in Wheeler where workforce housing is desperately needed. I'm grateful to the Schumans for investing in what was at the time an uninhabitable building with the belief that they could fix it up well enough for people to be able to live in it. And so, you know, it stands out in my mind as a model of what we need more of, is people who are willing to make investments in housing in Tillamook County. And I'm thrilled. I think it's working exactly the way we meant for it to, that we have this incentive to provide for people who are investing in housing in Tillamook County. So thanks to the Schumans and thanks to you for helping them and shepherding this project forward.
I agree, and this is, again, out-of-the-box thinking where the county approved a short-term rental operator license fee to help ameliorate the problems of housing in Tillamook County, and I think we've proved now that this is absolutely working. It's a great thing. Yeah, our biggest problem in Tillamook County is housing. We hire people, the Creamery hires people, the hospital hires people, everyone tries to hire people. We get people from outside the area that take the jobs, and want to move to Tillamook County. But unfortunately, at the end, when they come here and try to find a place to live, they have to turn the job down. It's really, really sad. So this is the biggest problem that I see that we face in Tillamook County, and we've come up with some unique ideas. Aaron has actually, and others. And this is working really well. This is working as well as, if not better than initially proposed. So I think this is a great move forward. This is another great idea on how we do multi-family rental housing. And I see many more great things to come. All you need is money. And
There you go.
and it'll work. So I'm in full support here.
Perfect, and I, of course, am in support, as we know, since, this is just super exciting. And I think what I want to point out to people is we have this constant conversation in our community that we need workforce housing. And I want to just really highlight that this is workforce housing. These are private developers who are participating with government, and in this case, they will have 4 units of housing in a building that, as Commissioner Bell pointed out, was uninhabitable previously, and now we have 4 units of housing. One of those is a 1-bedroom that will be rented at 120% of area median income, which means that's even higher. The area median is 100, right? It's up to 120% of area median income. So it's a rent that is affordable to someone making that rate. And I'm going to put TJ on the spot to tell me what that 120% rent is in just a second. It's probably in here in the fine print, but without my glasses, I'm not going to put my finger on it quickly. And then there's a 2-bedroom also, so there's 2 1-bedrooms renting at that 120%. There is 1 2-bedroom renting at 120% of area median income, and 1 1-bedroom renting for 80% of area median income, which means this is a mixed income development. It means that for one of these units, someone who is a little below our median will be able to afford it, and it means for the other 2, folks who are above our median but not significantly above our median will be able to afford it. That's our workforce. That's what everyone is talking about, and I've heard some real questions and concerns about our grant program and not some more affordable housing. And I really want to just let people know that every piece of housing that we build is much needed. But this is exactly what you all have been talking about, is that workforce housing that is not the state subsidized level, which we also need. But this is in addition to that. We recognize we need to move along the spectrum and provide in all those spaces. So TJ, can you I'm going to put you on the spot for that 120% rent number. If you've got that, I'm sure you do.
The 1-bedroom at 120% is around $1,700 per month. So that's somebody making $25 to $30 an hour in a decent job. The 2-bedroom would be $2,100 a month, and that's a couple both making $25 to $30 an hour. Again, those nurses that do not have homes to live in and turn down jobs. And then finally, that 80% area median income, we're looking at about $800 to $900 a month for that unit. So that's going to place somebody who truly does not have the resources that their other neighbors will, but they'll have the opportunity of upward mobility to meet those people and maybe have opportunities in their community to build their own upward mobility.
Perfect, thank you, because I do think it is important to recognize that all types of housing are needed in our community, and that while the state subsidies are assisting with affordable housing, this is that next tier that we are also supporting. And every unit of housing that's built causes just a little bit of I'm going to say breathing space in our communities, because a healthy housing market has a 6 to 7% vacancy rate, which allows for movement. It allows for housing choice. It allows for people to get a job and find something here. Ours is between 0 and 1%, which means virtually every rentable home is rented. And that doesn't allow for any of those pieces. And so no matter what we are adding, it's allowing people to find the right housing for themselves and the market to just expand and breathe a little bit. So this is an exciting opportunity, and I'm just couldn't be more pleased that we are to the contracting stage.
I have one more comment.
Yeah.
The other day, last week, I had coffee with someone, a community member, who said, "You commissioners only care about low-income housing." I said, "That's not true." And he said, yeah, it is true. The only things you're supporting are low-income housing, and we need workforce housing. And so I mentioned this project and some others that we're supplementing with the incentive programs. And I said, look, you know, the 120% of the AMI is not low-income housing. It's not even close to low-income housing. 1,700 for a one-bedroom apartment is high. So it's, you know, this is workforce housing, but it's still a stretch for a lot of workers in Tillamook County. So I just want to make the point that in fact we are investing in workforce housing, as you said.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is just this challenging narrative that moves around our community. And the other part of it that's challenging is that, you know, we're talking about 1,700 for a one bedroom, and there's gonna be a lot of folks who will hear that number, listen to this, maybe they'll read it in Will's article in the paper, and they will say, that is a ridiculously high rent. Nobody here can afford that, right? But that is 120% of area median income. It is in that defined window of workforce housing. And so it is a challenge. The 80% will be a wonderful one. I think there'll be a lot of people who read that rent and think, oh, now that's more realistic, right? But that's 80% of area median income. That would technically be considered in that sort of lower income bracket. So it's a conversation and a narrative that I hope we can get past the labels, and we can get past this sense that we're not building the housing that's needed, and the county isn't building housing. We're creating that developer environment, those developer subsidies, so that they can do what they do, which is create housing, and trying to make that possible for all those income ranges that are needed. So yeah, it's a challenging conversation, and hopefully people are starting to kind of dig in and understand it. So appreciate very much your work on this, TJ. I know it was a lot of work to get the Housing Commission to this point where we had a very well-developed process to make these selections, and then to take that next step and move forward with the contracts. We'll look forward to more contracts coming to us in the next few months as each one of those individual awardees meets with TJ and talks through the requirements of the contract, and we get them all done. So thank you for that.
Ready for a motion?
Yes, please.
I do want to point out, however, that the 120 and 80% of area median income rents, that is guaranteed for a minimum of 10 years.
Yes.
Otherwise, there is a clawback provision within these contracts. So it's all good, it really is.
Yes.
Commissioners, may I clarify very quickly on that point?
Yep.
So that the public is well aware too. HUD increases those rental numbers each year by about 3%. That's a typical rental escalation. So these are not static rent numbers. They will
Right.
increase each year, and those numbers will be posted on our website.
Right, perfect.
Perfect, thank you, because this is, and I think this is the other key thing, this is a business endeavor for those who are building housing, right? So they are not doing this just from the goodness of their heart and have money to sink into it and let it not cover its own costs, and with a bit of a profit for the person who has put their risk out there. And so those rents increase, which allows those developers who are currently probably very close to the line, as most of us are when we first take in our mortgage, to move into a future where they can afford to have this as a business. So that's an important factor. Okay, did we get the motion?
No.
No, ready for the motion.
Madam Chair, in consideration of a multifamily rental housing grant agreement number 2023-MHF-1 with Robert and Peggy Schuman for the Schuman Wheeler property project. For the Schuman Wheeler project, I would move approval.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thanks,
Thank you.
TJ.
Thank you so much, TJ.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, number 14, discussion and consideration of a letter of support for the City of Bay City's application to the Community Paths Program for 30% design of the Kilchis Point Path Rail with Trail project, and that one is me. So as we've talked about, I sit on the STIA board as well as the Salmonberry Trail Foundation board, and we are working toward bringing sections of the Salmonberry Trail into being as a reality. And this is a really complicated process because there are so many landowners, so many different sections of this trail, and I think we've talked about on these meetings before that there was a community paths project, I believe it was, that was funded, actually it's Safe Routes to Schools, that was funded in Rockaway Beach, that is currently under design as a segment of the Salmonberry Trail. This piece is the next piece that we are going after grant funding for. This one is through ODOT, Community Paths Project, and it is actually, the grant is going through Bay City, so I'd like to thank Leanne Welch for that work. She, as many of you know her, is pretty amazing and has done a great job of setting this up for funding through Bay City. What is on our agenda today is just a letter of support indicating that we agree that this is a good project and that opening up that trail, rail with trail between Bay City and Kilch's Point would be a great project to do. So, other questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Agreement. I'm just sorry that this letter of support doesn't finish the entire 87 mile.
We would love it to finish
All
the
that,
87
all that,
miles.
yes.
It is an interesting project right now. There's a lot of conversation working with the Oregon Coast Scenic Railroad because working with them allows you some opportunities to build trail that are a little bit different with funding and access and just the right to do so that they have. So we will undoubtedly, as the county and a partner of STIA, be coming back with conversations around that trail and around the potential for partnership with the Oregon Coast Scenic Railroad. So that's just a teaser from my STF board meeting last night that we're not ready to talk about in full yet, but that will be coming back as a conversation. So, but for right now, we would like to just provide our support of the letter.
Yeah, fully supported.
Perfect.
Ready for a motion? Madam Chair, in consideration of a letter of support for the City of Bay City's application to the Community Paths Program for 30% design of the Kilch's Point Path Rail with Trail project, I would move approval.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, number 15, discussion and consideration of addendum number 2 to sale agreement with Audra Jean Rock. Rachel Hegarty, Chief of Staff.
Staff and council. My voice is
Still a
still.
little frog in
yes,
there.
Still sounds funny. Staff and council continue to work through the extensive due diligence needed in our efforts to explore purchasing the raw property off of McCormick Loop, 46 acres that we're proposing to support for future housing development. The due diligence we're finding it necessary to have more time to do that, and so before you today is consideration of addendum 2 to sale agreement number 6330. It allows for more due diligence time. It currently went through January 10th, 2023. This addendum will carry it through February 28th, 2023. As we've been doing with these agreements in the interest of time, I've been signing the addendums, so it will get sent to the seller, and then they sign it, and then it comes before you for ratification. So before you is the addendum signed by myself and Mr. Raw, and it's ready for your consideration to extend due diligence through the end of February.
I do have one concern with this addendum. It does list me as chair.
That has been corrected. So this was a version that was posted online. I caught that, and that should be. We have a corrected version.
Okay.
Don't sign that one.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect. Questions or concerns?
Fully supported.
Okay, ready for a motion?
Since the sellers have already signed off on this, I think that's great. So, Madam Chair, in consideration of addendum number 2 to sale Agreement with Audra Jean Raw, I would move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, number 16, discussion and consideration of amendment number 5 to intergovernmental agreement number 4626 with the City of Tillamook for the Southern Flow Corridor Landowner Preferred Alternative Project. Rachel Hegarty, Chief of Staff.
So the Southern Flow Corridor project, implemented a couple of years ago, flood mitigation project and wetland restoration project, required the acquisition of several private properties. The property in question here is the Sawdry property. The county now owns it. We still refer to it as the Sawdry property. About mid-project, the county entered into an agreement to, at the conclusion of the construction project, convey the property to the City of Tillamook. It's adjacent to their parks plans. It's within the urban growth boundary, and there's interest from the city to acquire the property just through basically a donation. And so this agreement reflects that. It's just a lot of process with the Oregon Watershed Enhancement Board. We had a turnover in city managers, and so it just hasn't been at the top of the list to carry out. But there's new life here, and we are extending it again another year. So hopefully this is the year to convey it to the city.
Early in the year, that's great.
Well, this is just saying that we're
It
going
says
to
we're gonna.
proceed.
Oh,
It says we're
This is
gonna.
the, you're not signing over the deed
Oh,
just
okay.
yet.
It says we're gonna.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Intent. No.
In full support.
Likewise.
All right, I think we're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, in consideration of amendment number 5 to intergovernmental agreement 4626 with the city of Tillamook for the Southern Flow Corridor Landowner Preferred Alternative Project, I would move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, so I do believe we have an executive session that we will adjourn to, but before we do that, oh, we have board concerns first, sorry. Are there board concerns?
Not at 10:20.
11:20.
11:20, excuse me.
No, okay. So before we do that, I will read the announcements because we do not expect to make any decisions in these executive sessions that we would need to come out and ratify a meeting. So we will go ahead and read these. So the commissioners will hold a board briefing on Wednesday, January 18th, 2023 at 2 p.m. to discuss weekly commissioner updates. The meeting will be held in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 in the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook, Oregon. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149. Conference ID 736-023-979#. The Commissioners will hold an executive session on Thursday, January 19th, 2023 at 9 a.m. pursuant to ORS 192.660 sub 2 sub I to conduct a performance evaluation. The executive session will be held at the courthouse in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook, Oregon. The executive session is not open to the public. The Commissioners will attend an Emergency Management Services Advisory Council meeting on Thursday, January 19th, 2023 at 11 a.m. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID number 191393726#. With that, we will, I'm sorry, is there something that we missed? Okay, with that, we will recess this meeting at 11:22 a.m. Do you want to give us the statute, please?
I would be happy to. 192.6602D and 2E.
Thank you.